Spark County Commission meeting for Tuesday, June 14th at 10 a.m. Actually, we're now at 10:09. This is budget workshop. No decisions will be made.
Hi, good morning. I've got Molly Bradbury here for district court, so we're going to review that first, and then Mark's Brammer from the museum is here. So we're just going to go through these two this morning. With the information that I gave you, district court does have the new payroll. The 5% COLA is in the figures. And so from last year, the expenditures are actually a little down overall from the prior year. And or actually, I'm sorry, they're up. Revenues are pretty flat. Last year, we had there was extra cash in the district court fund, and so we did not mill as much, but we may have to look at adjusting the mills this year. And that's the main point of today's meeting, is we'll probably have to adjust the mills to accommodate. When I look at mills, I look at where do we have a decent cash reserve. And so heading into the year, we have a good cash reserve, and depending on how cash ends up at, which we won't know until about mid-July, that'll actually end up determining what the mill looks like.
Looks like the only real difference is a bailiff.
Yeah, we did put in a small amount for the bailiff. We actually already had a jury trial this year, and she asked me to put some in. And just from Molly's information, because I didn't get a chance to talk to her about too much, I just put in a flat amount of $3,000 plus benefits rather than a 0.1 FTE, because we don't know exactly what it is. And it's not uncommon that when we just put in a flat amount for unknown positions, like seasonal, we do that in fairgrounds and roads and sheriff department. So I just put in 3,000.
It's pretty nominal. So.
It's pretty nominal. Yeah, so the biggest change is just, and we're going to see that throughout all the budgets, is just payroll. Because we have the increase at October 1st, which was not in the adopted FY22 budget.
Right.
And so it's going to look more inflated because of that additional change and 5%.
I don't know what I can say. It's inflated. It's trying to keep up.
Right, trying to keep up. It just looks like a bigger difference.
Yes.
Because the adopted FY22 budget did not have a mid-year increase. It doesn't reflect that.
Right.
And we're not going to reflect it unless we have some kind of budget overage that we do a budget amendment for that specific fund.
And we still got the new model on clerk compensation to follow.
We have not discussed that lately. We were talking about the 5% COLA. Molly, if you want to address where you feel that you are with payroll with staff, because I did.
Well, part of it's not necessarily trying to raise people, but it's a question of trying to rationalize it across the organization. So
Right.
You guys are going to be super happy with what I say today, as opposed to the other years. I think this year the CMS with the 5%. It's working as it should.
Good.
Because my longest deputy, she's getting $1.30, and that's built in with the CMS and the 5%, and that puts her up to $20.30, and I think that's great. And then my newest deputy, she with the CMS following that scale, and the 5%, she's at $17.29.
Okay.
And so then that gives me room in my pay grade that, I'm hiring a position, I can hire at a higher rate without people screaming. So This year, I'm super happy that I think CMS is working as it should.
Good. We've been chasing our tail so long here. It's nice to hear that we finally caught it.
This year, I feel like it. We'll see next year.
Well, I think the COLA definitely
And the
helps
right.
To a level where it'll be better.
Yeah, that's good feedback.
Yeah.
Thanks. We'll try to keep it steady from here on out.
Yeah.
I mean, this year it worked I think how it was designed to work.
Sure.
So,
Good.
so the discussion that we had informally is probably that staff is okay for this year, and if we have a future discussion, we'll put it into next year,
Okay,
and so we won't need a follow-up right now.
okay.
So
Everybody seems happy.
is that staff is okay for,
We spoke to the treasurer, and he
Risa,
looked at his
Kevin.
wages, and he seemed okay.
all right,
I have
Okay,
not
that was
had
a
a
big
chance,
concern, because I want
Yeah,
to make sure
I
we're
haven't had a
equitable across the
chance.
organization.
Right.
right, I do need to look at the clerk and recorder's wages, but I think we're gonna come in pretty okay on that one as well.
Okay.
It's just the 5% COLA, it just made a big difference. as
And
far as
yeah,
it goes.
thank you for that. That was really,
So I think
Get
it
them
set
up.
the stage, so I think we're, probably okay for this year, but maybe revisit next year.
Yeah,
Sure.
well, in this environment, it's a no-brainer, because I mean, it's not as if we're giving real increases, we're just keeping track with the value of money.
Right, and people's expectations,
And people's
but it's helping with expectations, which is always good.
the issue is with inflation, it's gonna be harder and harder
It is.
for us to do that.
Because our inflationary increase is what,
1.77%
Yeah.
for our revenue
Inflation
limitation.
is 8.5 now.
put us under a lot of pressure.
Yes, so it's, yeah. I mean, if we have to make a change, it may be a bigger kind of change, whether that's replacing positions, tabling, replacing positions for a
I think
period
we're
of
gonna be
time or
there.
something like that.
Yeah.
And that could end up being an impact.
Facing some tough times coming up.
I
but
think,
the,
go ahead.
the rest of my budget's pretty much the same as last year.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, a little slight change in the jury fees, but I mean, that's just probably reflecting circumstances more than anything.
Actually, I brought it down a little bit just because of the 5-year average
Yep.
of where it looks, but you never know what the juries are gonna do.
I know.
But the state actually reimburses that,
Mhm.
so it's an offset cost.
Okay,
So even if you set it to 15, the hope is you get 15 back from the state.
sure.
So that's the good part about the jury fees.
No, it looks good to me.
cool.
Yeah.
Thank y'all for always working with me.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thanks.
I was thinking this morning, my cup of coffee, you know, when Harry Truman took over, he said, Mrs. Roosevelt, is there anything I can do for you? And she said, no, the question is, what can we do for you? And that's what I was thinking with the flood and the pandemic.
Oh.
All right, thank y'all.
All right,
Thank
thanks,
you.
Mom.
All right, thank you.
Good meeting you.
Let's see. So Mark and I actually took a little different approach because we started talking about projections, which I gave you that, but I don't know if you worked with that at all, Mark. We were trying to look at where the cash position is because there's a concern in my mind. These are just some of the details. If you're interested. Concerned about year-end cash for museum and heading into next year. One line that showed up more this year that we had not really budgeted for is if you go down that a little past halfway, there's operating supplies, which some of it's coming back from the Friends, some isn't. It's like for archiving and stuff like that, but we haven't really put that in, but we do, based on our projection, back up a second. I have the budget balance detail. That we're, the budget balance projection is we're only over by about $7,000.
Could you back up this? I'm not sure I understand the columns.
I'm not sure I do either, sorry. So what I did was, this is, I am looking at, sorry. This is actually FY 20. I have FY23 budget. I have account year to date is just actual year to date information for FY22. And then I did a projection to the end of the year for FY22. And that's the projection, because if you look at the account year to date, our revenues are super anemic compared to our expenditures, because we haven't received all our tax revenue and things like that. So I was trying to get an idea of where our cash was, because right now our cash is sitting at a negative $77,000. And our revenues coming in are 235. And also on the second page, I'm sorry, if you flip over, it didn't print on the same page, we're projected to like have a negative cash of like negative $100,000 for museum. That's a big concern.
Right.
Because we had, the way we had budgeted, we had, I guess, higher expectations for what we would receive for some of the sorry, not the higher expectations on that. The expenditures are just coming in higher. I think the revenues are low and the expenditures are high. I'm sorry, I had a better report, but it made sense when I looked at
Well,
it.
looking, I mean, we had put the revenues for admission at 12 and showing what, 6.5. And I don't know if that includes a couple $1,000 I deposited yesterday from the last month.
It wouldn't, because I don't have June revenues yet.
So I mean, that's not a big enough difference to come up with 100,000 short. I just gave you a check yesterday for Ceci's, the rest of Ceci's
Yes.
wages.
Which will help,
And
definitely.
we're doing the year-end budgeting with the Friends and should have another check for about 16 to 17,000 coming in for a lot of those operating costs. What we're doing going forward is having a line that is just Friends programs. So instead of me budgeting where, you know, the expense actually is Friends, it's in one line for the end of the year.
So it's easier to track.
Yeah.
So what I'm hearing, and I apologize, just a little behind here, but on the local private grant revenue, where it says 9381, the projection, we just got 17,000, so that actually increases.
So that takes care of Ceci's wages.
Yeah, so Ceci's wages are completely covered, not the benefits, but the wages are. But even if you take like 40,000 coming in, we're still coming up short about 60,000 for the year. And we have the security we haven't done yet, but that was still on track to be done. And the capital equipment was the ditch. Is the ditch in a new spot right now with the flooding,
It's,
or is it impacted at all?
hopefully not. It didn't look like it.
Okay.
I'm still nervous about it, but,
You said they were
Definitely was-
shutting the bridge, the ditch down, right?
They shut the ditch down, but the ditch was full last night. It
Yeah,
was
it
completely
was.
to the top, go from flooding. Yeah.
Yeah, my yard flooded with it.
Yeah.
But the museum was fighting this morning.
So we had two projects that you were talking about trying to get done by year end. And one of them was the museum security.
And they should be done. I was told, well, on the weekend that they'd be done.
Okay.
Granted, we have a flood between then and now, so it's $2,000, so I'm sure they're stretched pretty thin right now, IT across the county.
And then the 10,000 for the ditch. So those were the lines I highlighted. in
The
low
10,000
section.
for the ditch, I'm fine, putting as DNU and reverting it for this year, because I'm not gonna get that done.
Okay.
And that's on me. I'm used to working on the biennial budget, and too many other things took priority
Sure.
this year.
Okay. So if you remove that, then your difference comes down to about 30,000. So we're like paring it down, and that was really the goal, was what I was trying to do, is figure out where we actually are
Mhm.
in terms of cash. But we're I think we're still gonna come in short for museum at year end for cash. And then that plays into next year. And I put my budget detail, and I apologize, I didn't get the total printed off in my minutes of time.
Without
Lost
jumping
10.
too far ahead, where do we ended up on, Bill, as far as, our actual versus budget for Bill?
I think we're gonna have some capacity there, yeah, because there were some projects that we didn't do. The county attorney's office had 40,000 that didn't use the full amount they used. So there's like 10,000 there. So there are some funds of it.
Okay, good.
But it's still going into next year. I'm gonna have to look at the cash balances and
Mhm.
see where we're at.
Yep.
I think a lot of it this year is gonna really depend on how the cash comes in. And I hate to have a discussion before I even know where the cash is at.
I know, we got a
But
few weeks left,
we
so-
typically present, before we have that information.
Right.
Just so you know where the department heads are at.
So that 40 though,
Hello?
projecting for the taxes that come in.
That includes that.
It
But
includes-
we're still short.
Which, so I guess my question is, in years past, is when I look at what I brought in from the friends and what I have down, you know, all I have that really I feel are expenses that maybe the museum hasn't had in the past would be the wages for Ceci,
Mhm.
or excuse me, not the wages, the benefits for Ceci,
Right.
and the building maintenance. So I guess I'm just not seeing this, we're $100,000 in the hole when I'm following the budget sheets that I have.
And I apologize. I can either go print it off or I can send it to you and you take a look at it.
Yeah.
But if, when we budgeted last year, we were down to, with the budget, being on track, but I think a lot of it has to do with the revenues.
But that, I mean, we didn't put high revenues in, 'cause it's, I think 12,000 is what we were hoping, and I think after what I brought in yesterday.
Right,
And then for the, well, month of June, I'm not even gonna guess what we bring in.
Right.
But we'll be right around 10, so that's 2,000.
right.
versus-
Well, the additional things that we have, definitely get into the security in the ditch. Those are some extra expenditures that were not.
Yeah,
We
Those are
hadn't had in
one-time,
previous
too.
years, yeah.
so,
So there are some of those kinds of things that are in there. But I think on the history that I sent you,
mhm.
I don't know if you got a chance to look at that, because the budget worksheet that I sent you has years of information in it, so you can just
Oh,
look
that
at
I did not see.
I sent that, like a month or two ago.
I want to swipe away the government, call it twice in my morning.
Yeah, it's on me too.
So we can go ahead and have a discussion about
Yeah.
that offline.
So I guess I'm not used to like those one-time expenses counting as a cash deficit in the coming year when it's a request and it comes in and then having to say, oh, you're
Right.
low $10,000. It's like, but I requested $10,000 for a specific.
Right, but we've had some stuff where we'll just have to take a look at it. I think the cash just seems, to me, the cash just is lower than I expected. But we'll go ahead and take a look at it and we'll have a discussion. and
Yeah,
we'll-
again, we
Take a
really
look
can't
at it.
make the decisions on it until we see how the area looks.
Yeah.
It's a few weeks away.
And that's always tough because even projections
I
can
know, yeah.
change.
If you got your adjustments and you get late stuff coming.
Right, well, there are transfers in, because we do have interop transfers in, which we had, budgeted 80,000, we've never transferred it that much before.
Yeah.
We'll double check the math.
Yeah.
Sure.
Anyway, as far as next year goes, I don't think that you had anything significant that's on the detail sheet here. We did talk about breaking out the Friends projects, which I think is a really great idea. That
Mhm.
we'll be able to track it a lot better, like what's the county expending versus what the Friends are contributing. and
Sure, the
spending.
library,
They'll
does the
just,
same thing.
they'll just clarify it a lot, so.
So next year's budget is the 279 income and 268 expenditures? Is that what you have?
No, that's actually the FY22 budget, and I apologize, I just got short on time, and so I didn't get the sheet for you, so I can either, go reprint it for you, if you can give me
Or
2
just
seconds.
email it.
We'll just
You just
follow
email
it.
That'd be
me,
great,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'll just- Yeah, because this detail, I forgot to total it for you, so that
Okay.
doesn't help you.
Yeah. Okay. All right,
Okay,
so next week we're 10 and 1 on Tuesday, is that right?
Yeah, let's not have the 1 o'clock meeting today.
Yeah.
okay.
We'll go ahead and postpone that because I don't know anybody's schedule.
10 and 1 works really well for Tuesdays for me.
Yeah, same here.
And so you were thinking do
The
the
28th
regular meeting, the
feels
1
like
hour,
gone.
and then 2 hours in
I
the
can make-
afternoon,
I
or
can
what
make
were
the
you,
commission meeting.
what were we?
Okay.
I got an appointment at Dr. Bozeman, so I can,
Yes.
Okay,
I
so
can
we'll,
do that.
we'll stay
Yeah,
on.
Because that'd be
And
about
maybe
2
we'll
weeks.
cancel the next week, if that'd be
Oh, yeah, please do.
July.
I'm not ever in town.
So-
You won't have any staff here.
Right.
So can we clarify for next week that we'll meet from 10 on Tuesday morning for at least an hour and 2 hours in the afternoon and try to hit the general fund
Sure.
and just go through that?
I've got an 11 on Tuesday. So can we do like 1 and 3 in the afternoon? Or 1
Just
o'clock and 3
start at
hours?
1,
Start at 1
1 and
for
then
3 hours?
just go till we were done.
Yeah,
Okay,
let's just do that.
that's fine.
So not do the 10 a.m. and
Yeah.
just do a long
So
one?
one of the reasons that I tend to schedule meetings an hour at a time,
Mhm.
Steve, is you tend to only have an hour at a time.
Busy guy.
Well, I know,
We're all busy.
yeah, and you
Yeah.
do, and so it's trying to accommodate, but
Yeah.
I hear you that if we
Right.
want to have longer meetings,
Yeah.
I'm totally open to that.
It's easy for me to schedule longer meetings because I
Okay.
get it blocked.
So that's good
instead of
feedback,
having to-
because I didn't,
You
know.
Probably
like
the
this.
That's good
28th, Bill
feedback,
won't be
because I
here.
didn't know
And you
that.
won't
Yeah.
be here,
Yeah.
correct?
I could
That's
be
the
here.
truth.
I'm
in
just
power.
trying to
Won't
Okay.
how do I fit
be
it
here
all
for any budget
So
meetings.
our
In the
plan is to
afternoon.
have a 1
Okay.
o'clock
I can do
meeting,
9 to 10
a 45
easy.
minute
Okay.
meeting, and Half an hour gap, like another meeting.
Yep.
and same thing
And then
happens.
probably the
That's
following
So
week
it's
for
good
the
to have
5th.
the feedback.
So you don't want to have a 10
Cancel,
o'clock, but you
okay.
want a longer meeting.
We'll
starting
just
at
do a 1 o'clock next Tuesday, and we'll
Perfect.
hit as much as we can.
1. Okay.
And I'll have better
I'll bring
information.
up
I
my-
apologize, I don't feel well prepared to discuss Mark's budget, so
Catch up.
it's not him, it's
No.
me.
Catch up.
Trying to do that.
Next Thursday, I do have a 1 o'clock, medical over in Bozeman, so I'll be able to make Thursday afternoon next week if we were considering that.
I think we
No,
were leaving
pushed it
Thursday
all to
open.
Tuesday.
Okay, good.
So we'll just do whatever, we'll just try to
All right.
complete everything next
Perfect.
Tuesday afternoon, 2
All right.
1
Thanks,
o'clock,
Eric. Thanks,
2
Mark.
o'clock, 3 o'clock.
Yes, thank you.
And we'll have food. I'll make cake. Do you remember my budget cake I made my first year? There was a piece cut out of it.
Right in the middle?
Petrified.
Yeah, no, on the side, but
Petrified.
Do we need
So
to
is it
adjourn?
Later, like, when?
Mr. Abu, we adjourn.
Second, all in favor aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank
Return
you.
at 10:33.